And good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. My name is Jim, and this is the Friday Afternoon QSO Vlog Network. This is a directed network, and I am net control. If at any time during this net, should an emergency arise, please notify net control. We'll stand by and allow those in need to access this frequency. Is there any priority or emergency traffic at this time? Hearing nothing, we will continue. This net is all about ham radio. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We're recording now, live till 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube, so you can come by later and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that's Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO Vlog page, where we're now featuring about 1,040 QSO Vlog recordings. Also this afternoon, we're running 4 Internet SDR receivers monitoring Rochester, New York, Milford, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, and Arlington, Virginia, trying to get a better copy on our 100-watt friends. Now, the audio from these 4 SDR receivers comes up on a 6-position rotary selector. And this selector has the 4 Internet SDRs audio coming up, and also it has our local receiver. And our local receiver is running 2 large 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas, one aimed north and south, the other east and west. The north and south mag loop can be rotated. They are selected by a 3-position rotary selector. Position 3 of this selector is a co-phase option that many times is 3 to 4 dB hotter than mag loop 1 or 2 by themselves. We do use a lot of rotary selectors in our shack, mainly because there's nothing faster than a rotary switch for comparing multiple signals. Also today we'll be running our input source indicator. So when we switch from an Internet SDR to the FT990, you'll be able to hear the switch and see the switch. You'll have to check it out on our YouTube QSO Vlog video later. Well, those are our working conditions. How about yours? This is the Friday Afternoon QSO Vlog Network. And now let's check in and see if Charlie K1GZL is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up in northern New Hampshire near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Charlie, got a copy?
Yeah, I sure do, Jim. 9 to 9 plus 15.
Direct.
How do you copy?
K1GZL.
I'm copying you about 8 dB above the Rochester, New York SDR noise level, Roger.
New York SDR noise level, Roger.
Roger. And the propagation this morning was really good. Good on 40 meters, right here on 40, down on 7150. And I have a short recording of Ian in Australia there, and of course they are considerably concerned about this corona virus, COVID-19, as of course everybody is. But just a little bit. I'm still holding the mic. By this time next week, I might be able to go direct again like I had in the past. Some of the problems have been resolved, but I'm still holding the microphone up to the cassette. I'll see if I've got it. Wait a minute.
Morning, everyone, and good evening, Chris. This is VK Stream Mike Austin near Melbourne in southeast Australia. And everyone's coming through. Very readable. And Charlie, you're up to 30 over 9. And Mike from Interstate copy.
Okay, that was Ian. I don't know if that came through very well, but everything is fine here. We had 1/10 of an inch of rain in that late night last night, and just a trace of snow fell on everything, and we have a few isolated bare spots showing. Other spots are well over a foot left, and it looks like tomorrow, being the 28th, late in the day, it'll be clouding over, and it looks like we will be getting into snow to rain on Sunday, which, yike. Anyway, Jim, back over to you, and how's everything down there in southern Indiana near Louisville? And let's hope that they find a good vaccine for the KC9VKV, KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, you may have just bumped your VFO just a tad. Check your frequency there. I think you might have bumped it there. I checked my local antenna, and it sounded also a little high. So there you go. But the transmission came in pretty good by way of holding the mic over the cassette machine, Roger.
Over the cassette machine, Roger.
Yeah, okay, I found I was down. I don't know what happened. I hit it, but right now I'm on 71, 88.0 imminent.
Yes, sir. There you are, and Charlie from Florida. Very good copy also. You had a good day. Got a new dog today.
Okay, his daughter got a new dog, and she's on quarantine, and that's Rachel. She just finished studies, 2-year studies at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, and just flew in a little over a week ago from Australia. And so far she is feeling fine. She has not shown any symptoms of that condition. So they're very interested to find out in this country if that condition is going to occur below the equator during the winter season, which is now starting up down below the equator. And if that really explodes down there, that is a great concern up here above the equator. So, as we go into our summer months. But anyway, Jim, you sound great in here, and I'm sorry I bumped the VFO. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger. Yeah, well, see, that's, always the VFO is the biggest knob, and so it's the one most prone. If one's going to get bumped, it probably will be the VFO. I do have a lock on the 990, so I make sure when we start, I engage the VFO lock, and there was one guy I was talking to that had bumped his VFO, and he said that his was locked, but it would move during lock. So I was thinking, well, maybe that indication of being locked was only a figment of his imagination, Roger.
A figment of his imagination, Roger.
Yeah, well, I begin to wonder sometimes, Jim, if with all the technology we have these days, if all of these inventions of ours, so to speak, are becoming wise. In other words, they're beginning to develop intelligence, and the computers will take over, and we'll be gone. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, that could be there. It could be. Sometimes, intelligence gets maybe a little too intelligent. And we have an Orson Welles War of the Worlds kind of thing going on. I wanted to ask you, Charlie, about your Australian contacts. Are they having real hard times with it down there?
They're having a moderate time with it so far. It's not like it is up here. It is not like it is up here, but it bears watching. And I'm going to try to get much more information on it. And by this time next week, I can give you a pretty good update if you don't get it actually from the media itself. Go ahead.
Oh, roger that. Well, Charlie, you talk to him almost every day, so I'm sure you got the pulse on Australia, Roger.
The pulse on Australia, Roger.
Well, it's quite a 10,500 mile pulse. Wow, what a pulse!
Exactly. Well, Charlie, thanks for all the info there, and I really do appreciate your words of wisdom, Roger.
Well, absolutely a pleasure, and I'll try to catch you this week if we're not shut down or something like that. But you sound fine up here, Jim. Fine. Absolutely beautiful copy.
Got a new dog today. They're just knob, It's the one most prone. If one's going to get bumped, it probably will be the VFR.
Okay, Jim, 73. Cheers, and have some good contact. KC9VKV, it's always a pleasure. K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, 3's that way, sir. Thank you very much. And this is KC9VKV. And this is a Friday afternoon QSO Vlog Network. My name is Jim, and I'm better known in some circles as Dr. VKV. And we're recording now live till 5, so if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll post this recording up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube, just do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our QSO Vlog page. And on that page, you'll find about 1,050 new QSO Vlog recordings to date, and but the one you'll be looking for is entitled My Group Aircheck 32720. My Group Aircheck 32720. And this is KC9VKV listening.
KC9VKV listening.
I heard somebody there. Try it again, sir.
Kilo for India Golf Kilo.
Golf Kilo Station, come back with your call sign again, please.
This is Kilo 4, India Golf Kilo.
Roger, India Golf Kilo, and what's the name?
Handles Don, Delta Oscar November. Worked you a couple weeks ago with my TS590. Today I'm on my hybrid, the TS530. And currently running close to 400 watts.
Roger. Don, check your frequency. You might be just a tad low. We're on 7188,000.
Okay, how's that?
Ah, there we go. Sounds better, sir.
These old hybrids drift a little bit.
Roger. Now, did your actual visual representation of the frequency was an error, or you just bumped it up automatically?
No, it drifted. I just happened to, when you mentioned it, I looked over and it was at 0.1 instead of 0.0.
Yeah, Roger. Well, what kind of antenna system are you running, sir?
Today I'm on a 43-foot whip, and I've got a matching unit on it along with a auto tuner. And then my amplifier that is currently running is a AL811H.
Roger. Well, I'm copying you on my local antenna, and you're giving me about a 10 dB over my local noise level. So that's a really good signal. And looking at your audio, your dynamic range is about 3 dB, which is where you want it to be. So that would mean that your average percent of peak modulation would be right at 80 to 85%. Roger.
Yeah, real fine. This is a D104 microphone that I'm using. And I'm going to switch the amp off and see if he's still copying. Okay, amp is off.
Are you transmitting without the amp in the microphone, or the amp on the air?
Oh, amp on the air.
Oh, yes, I still have you. What's your location?
We're in South Carolina, on the border of Georgia and South Carolina. The city is North Augusta, which is just opposite of Augusta, Georgia.
Roger. Well, I'm still copying you like 8 over, so you're doing well. I do prefer the amp on, though, so I get the best possible recording for you, Roger.
Well, there you go. It's back on.
Yeah, Roger. And now tell me about that D104. That must be a powered D104, Roger.
That's a negative. It is not. I cut the little amp out of that thing, years and years ago. Had some RFI problems. Of course, that was a fault of some grounds. But overall,
is not frequent on sideband. Mostly I'm on Charlie Whiskey, but most of the folks I talked to preferred it without the amp.
Oh, Roger. Well, I was just saying that usually when you run that D104 element without the amp, that's a very high impedance element working into a very low impedance radio mic front end, and usually they sound like sheet tin, Roger.
Yeah, okay, real fine. Well, for whatever reason, it seems to match this 530 real good. I do have the processor on, so that is probably doing a little bit of help for me.
Roger. Well, I'm looking at your audio on a frequency analyzer and spectrum analyzer, and it looks very nice, really nice. So you have a good curve out of it, as amazing as it may be, and who knows why, but I wouldn't change anything, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Well, nope. It's been this way for 30-some years, and of course, I recently graduated up to the 590 because I wanted a little bit better radio and all. Also run a couple SDRs here, but they're not online. They're just individual SDRs that I run. So I can extend my receiving a little bit.
Oh, Roger, yeah, on that compressor, usually we suggest about a 3, just a token amount on that compressor at about a 3, Roger.
Yeah, well, there isn't any adjustment on it. The only thing I got is mic gain, and it's right, it's almost at 4 on this 530.
Oh, Roger, how does it look on your ALC meter?
It's right in the range. It's if I really jump, it'll exceed the ALC.
Yeah, usually we suggest mid-scale to 2/3, but sounding good, sir. Very good. That's an oldie but a goodie, Roger.
Yes, sir. Sure enough, the old hybrids are hard to kill, and I've been, like I said, I've been real happy with this radio for 30-some years, and it's seen a good bit of action. Anyway, I do appreciate it. Incidentally, you are a good solid 5 and 9 down here, right off of the vertical antenna, so no problems there. Thanks again, and I'll listen for my audio later on in the week. This is Kilo 4 India Golf Kilo.
Roger that. And if you want to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSOV-like page. And on that page, you'll be looking for Aircheck called My Group Aircheck 32720. My Group Aircheck 32720, and we should be able to get that uploaded in the next couple of days, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, real fine business again, thanks, and appreciate all the reports there. This is Kilo 4 India Golf, Charlie, clear.
Roger, and just out of my curiosity, are you running a freak counter on your radio, Roger?
No, it's got a digital display, so there's no free counter on it.
Oh, okay. All right. I wasn't sure how you were seeing that, so you're just, the meter is reading correctly as far as the frequency. It just has a tendency to drift.
Yeah, it takes a little while for it to warm up, and once it stabilizes, everything is lovely in there.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I started my ham career with a TR4C, Drake TR4C. So, and as a young operator, I could never stand the half-hour warm-up, and sometimes it was further than that because I used to run a blower. Not a blower, but a fan over the final constantly, and so I guess I aggravated the warm-up time by that blower. But anyway, I love the TR4C. I was working there. I spent my first 2 years up on 10 meters, so 10 meters for a TR4C is a real challenge.
Yeah, I never had one of those. My first HF radio was a AT1, and I never had much success with it. That was in my novice years. And then I finally moved up to, let me see what it was. Golly, I can't remember. I was on VHF for a while, and then, like I say, I've had this radio for 30-some years. I've been licensed since 1961, and I can't remember all the radios.
Yeah, Roger, Roger. Well, I can recall as I was studying for my to take my test, and I looked on the internet, and lo and behold, the first radio I came across to look at was a TR4C, and instantly when I saw that TR4C, I knew what every knob was, and oh man, it was just a beautiful radio, and I just had to have it. So I tried to get a hold of the guy that was trying to sell it. I tried to get a hold of him 3 or 4 times, but he never responded, so I assume now that he had already sold the radio. But anyway, I went ahead and took my test and passed, and as I was leaving, I just happened to think as I turned at the door, and I said to the examining engineers, I said, would anybody happen to know where I could get a Drake TR4C? And this one guy says, well, yeah, I've got a deal you can't refuse. I've got one I'll give to you. And he did, and we fired it up over about a 3-day period with, we had like dummy 100-watt light bulbs in series with the AC as we powered it up, and each day we would parallel another 100-watt bulb there, and pretty soon we just bypassed the bulbs and went direct, and that radio worked perfectly for 5 years, Roger.
Yeah, real fine, yeah. Well, no, that's the spirit of ham radio. I think all of us at some point in time have been the recipients of somebody else's, not charity, but just they don't need the radio anymore. The only Drake product I ever had was a Drake 2B receiver, and I used it for a lot of years. And then I finally sold it. As a matter of fact, I had that Drake 2B, and I had a Johnson Adventurer. It was just CW, and I eventually did some screen modulation on it, but I really preferred the CW. But I ran those 2 radios for a very long time, and really had a lot of fun with them. The 2B was a terrific receiver.
Oh, Roger, your radio has wandered a little bit more. You know, I wonder if you could try, like maybe a little fan on it to keep it cooler, or put some, maybe some additional heat around the oscillator area to, to kind of preheat it or keep it warmed up, Roger.
Yeah, it might be. Actually, it's kind of warm here in the shack. It's warm down here today. It's 82 degrees Fahrenheit outside presently. And I have not turned the air conditioner on in the shack, and it's sitting here right at 90, mostly because of this amp.
Yeah, Roger, do your radio a favor and turn it on. I think you'll do well. Are you doing all right otherwise, being sheltering in place?
Oh yes, yeah. There's no problem. I go to the golf course 3 times a week, and grocery stores when needed. Everything is fine here.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Don, let me say 3 to you, sir. Thanks for checking in. Have a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend.
Thanks again, Jim. Do appreciate it. 73.
Roger, Roger. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday afternoon Kiss of VLOG.net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. Heard about 3 stations way off. Loudest one, try it again. Okay, there was a November 4 something. Come back November 4, try it again. Yeah, I still can't hardly pull you out. Maybe come up on that microphone and try it again, November 4.
November 4, Golf Hotel, and 4 GHP, and I just got a little bit louder.
Yes, sir, GHP. What radio are you running, sir?
I got the little ST-100D Delta. I've owned it for about 15 years or so. I think that model's about 20 years or so. Sitting here in my car, in front of my apartment complex, got it paired up with the ATAS 120 Alpha, and I always kind of wondered what it sounded like, so a great opportunity. Thanks for letting me join.
Roger. Well, I'm only copying you about 6 dB above my noise level, so let's check a couple of things and see if we can get a better signal. First off, I do recommend that you engage your compressor at about a 3. Engage your compressor and adjust it to about a 3 input. Roger.
Alrighty, how's that one? I was at 5, so I just went ahead and dropped it to 3. That sounds a little bit better in 4G.
Yes, I think we had an improvement on our propagation at the same time, but that's good. A 3 is just a token amount, but it does exactly what it needs to do in the series of tune-up items. The next thing would be to go to your ALC. Go to your ALC with mic gain in hand and adjust your ALC meter to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3 by way of adjusting your mic gain control. Roger. And you have to do that in the transmit mode as you just key and speak like you normally would. Don't make it like you're going to check a microphone level. Just talk normal and adjust your mic gain to where your ALC is reading mid-scale to 2/3.
Alrighty, well that's going to take me a minute to try to figure out that menu and get into that, and I will try to work on that here shortly.
Okay, well, let me give you that. Your EQ sounds fine, so if you get your ALC up and get that mic gain manipulated to where the ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3, I think you'll be in pretty good shape, Roger.
Well, very, very good. Let me keep looking at the menu and see if I can figure out how to get to that.
Roger, what is the name there?
My apartment complex in a little town called Alabaster, Alabama. They're about 25 miles south of Birmingham.
Roger, did you say Roy?
From Lloyd, Lima Oscar, Yankee Delta.
That's Lloyd, Roger.
Roger, Roger.
All right, Lloyd, I think you'll be doing pretty good there. You get that ALC meter up and then adjust your mic gain to where your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3 as you transmit and speak just normally. Don't whistle or meh or anything, just talk like you normally would. Because if you talk louder, you're going to back off that microphone, and then, when you do start to talk, the level's going to be low. So what you want to do is just talk naturally as you adjust that your mic gain for the mid-scale to 2/3 reading on the ALC. Well, thanks to you, Lloyd. Appreciate you checking in, sir. If you get a chance, join us next Friday as we hopefully do this again from 3:30 till 5. And FYI, we have been recording since 3:30, as is our normal procedure, and we'll be posting it up on YouTube. So at a later time, if you drop by YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one specific air check entitled My Group Air Check 32720. My Group Air Check 32720. And give us a couple of days to get that uploaded. Roger, Lloyd 3 Zetway, sir. This is the Friday Afternoon QSO Vlog Network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give us a shout.
W5PRC. Charlie Whiskey.
PRC, come back with the call sign.
Yeah, it's Whiskey 5, Papa Romeo Charlie. W5
PRC. Name's Paul, and I'm in Truman, Arkansas. Go ahead.
Roger, Paul. Sounding really good here. Looks to be about 10 over my local noise level. I could give you an estimated, well, I can't really give you an estimated reading because we're running a reduced RF front end, so we don't have a bunch of suck up between words, so I can get a very accurate recording of your audio. But you're just doing beautiful, like 10 over. I'm looking at your audio output on my VU meter, and when you see speaking, then I'm looking at my noise level. So it was your peaks were 10 over my noise level.
Okay, I didn't catch your name there. Go ahead.
Roger, name here is Jim, Juliet, India, Mike, and we're located just beside Louisville, Kentucky, just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky on the Indiana side. Roger?
That sounds great there, Jim. Well, I thank you very much. I'm running a Kenwood 450S here, and 100 watts out into an inverted V on the tower about... I think about 30 foot up, and I'm using a 30L1 Collins, but it's only peaking, well, I think on CW it only puts out about 500 watts, but dead key there, But anyway, I was curious about the audio, and I want to listen to it on the My Check Air webpage that you have there. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll give it to you again. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO vlog page. We're running right now about 1,040 recorded QSO vlogs, but this one should be on page 1, and it will be entitled My Group Aircheck 3/27/20. Today's date. My Group Aircheck 3/27/20. Roger?
That sounds good there, Jim. Maybe next week I want to get my 870 out and check it out there. And there's a lot of things about the Kenwood 870 that I don't understand how to set it up, because when I talk into the mic, it just don't look right on the scope. It just doesn't look like it's putting out a good pattern on the scope. But we'll look at that next week. I know you've got a lot of stations in there, and I'm fixing to go out in the yard and do a little work, and I just come in here to turn the rig on and tune the band, and I heard you and wanted to say hello. So thanks very much, Jim, and CB3's to you. KC9VKV, this is W5PRC.
Roger, Paul. Well, before you go there, I wanted to check to see how you're doing about sheltering in place in Arkansas down there.
We're just like everywhere else, we're just staying low and staying around the house and only get out when we need to there. Go ahead. Roger.
Safest way to do it, man. Seek a low profile till the smoke clears. I will have a piece about, the situation and New York here coming up. Well, heck, I might as well do it right now. Paul, thank you for threes, buddy. And if you get a chance, check in with us next Friday at 3:30. We'd love to have you. And we continue now. Time for another thrilling edition of Adventures in Radioland. This segment, COVID-19 update, reviews, and I wrote this part last Sunday, 3/22/20. As many of you know, I run 4 Amazon Fire tablets for my internet SDR receivers, and I've called out one to use personally between my QSO vlog network shows. It has a neat voice search feature, so it was real easy to put in a complete list of 50 kW radio stations. So now I have the capability of listening from one end of this country to the other, day or night, rain or shine, to find out what's going on. Now, I have for years favored listening at night to WGN Chicago and WSB Atlanta, but lately, with the new tablet, I've been spending more time camping out up in New York, listening to WABC and WOR. I guess I have always respected New York as the frontrunner for radio sophistication and professionalism. So it could be assumed they would be in the know about our current COVID-19 situation. Well, the morning show on WABC Radio features a couple of guys named Sid and somebody. And now Sid sounds like he just stumbled out of, I hate the Bronx, no offense, with a bad hangover. And they're talking about how outlandish it is for all the bars and restaurants to be closed and how many fine careers are being destroyed by this unjustified action of some morons. I just could not believe my ears. I couldn't believe their ignorance. The thing is, if you're dead, you will have no career. And it is unfortunate for WABC Radio to be so far out of touch with reality as to let these clowns espouse such poor information in these critical times. They should be replaced by a more responsible hosts. May I suggest a Beavis and Butthead? The sad part is, the very next day it was announced that New York had a major upsurge in COVID-19 cases. Here is that COVID-19 update. New York City is now in dire straits with more than 7,500 confirmed cases in the city alone as of late Friday, according to the city's Department of Health. This is referring to last Friday. As of last week, the entire state had confirmed fewer than just 800 cases. I hate to say this, but it's true. We're now the epicenter for this crisis, said New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. The next day, Monday, 3/23, let's see, I wrote this again this morning. The WABC radio show Sid and Somebody continued to rail against the New York City shutdown as being ridiculous and overreaching, even though the city has been declared the national epicenter for COVID-19 infections. Yet New York's WABC radio continues to broadcast irresponsibly, endangering both public health and welfare, for which they should be shut down for being a common nuisance during this dire national emergency. I truly hope Sid and Somebody do not experience a personal COVID family tragedy, because they would soon realize the importance of choosing life over all other considerations. And here's another piece that I wrote this morning, today, 3/27/20. Even as late as this morning, the Sid and Somebody show on New York's WABC radio continues to espouse the opinion that the town should not be shut down, that things should move along as normal, even when the mayor of New York City and the governor of New York are pleading nationally. Let me turn the page here. For additional materials and personnel to come to the rescue of a totally overwhelmed medical capability. What part of shut up if you can't be a part of the solution do these guys not understand? For the first time in my life, I am ashamed of commercial broadcasters. There's no excuse for WABC radio to allow such moronic and life-threatening material to be broadcast. You know, news is a moving target. It's constantly changing. But for WABC radio to be so consistently out of touch with reality borderlines on criminality. At least they are default in their responsibility to their community in a time of dire straits. The station should be shut down as being a common nuisance for endangering the people of New York and exasperating an already overwhelmed medical emergency. But that's my opinion. How about yours? How are you doing in this time of sheltering in place? This is KC9VKV. And this is KC9VKV. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. We are listening.
Kilo Echo 8, Michael, India Golf.
Oh, Michael something. Kilo Echo 8, Michael something.
Michael, India Golf.
Roger, Roger. What's the name there, sir?
Joe, Juliet, Oscar, Echo.
Roger, Joe. Sounding really good. Where are you?
I'm in southern Michigan, just south of Detroit. Go ahead.
Roger, Joe. What radio are you running, sir?
I've got an ICOM 7610, just got a new microphone. It's a SM8, the old ICOM unit.
ICOM 7610?
Roger.
One of my favorite radios, sir. We have a complete tune-up for that if you would like to become a little fatter, maybe.
Definitely. Like I said, I'm just had the radio a couple weeks, so getting used to all the settings. Go ahead.
All right, the first thing is engage your compressor at a 3. Get that compressor online at about a 3. It's a token amount, but it does exactly what it needs to do. So compressor on and at a 3. Roger?
Okay, compressor is at a 3. Go ahead.
Roger. Now move to your ALC control, and with mic gain in hand, adjust your ALC to where it's reading mid-scale to 2/3, and that means you just key the mic to and talk just as naturally as you would talk normally, and adjust your mic gain to where your ALC is reading mid-scale to 2/3. And of course, you'll need to be in transmit to do that.
Okay, let's see here. The ALC is just over half. So let me hold on 1 second, please.
All right, and now pay particular attention to the way you address the microphone. You want to always address the microphone on axis. If you pull off mic, you will lose the syllabic range, and there goes the neighborhood. So you want to stay right on mic as you make these adjustments.
Okay, roger that. Okay, we're going to go down for the ALC. Let's see here. About 38%. Go ahead on the mic gain.
Roger. The actual mic gain is not really important. It's how your ALC meter is reading as you adjust the mic gain. The main thing is your ALC meter reading, Roger, and that should be mid-scale to 2/3. This is KC9VKV. Joe, how's it doing there, sir? Joe, you could have hit your your VFO. You might have hit your VFO, Joe. This is KC9VKV listening.
KC9VKV K4ULP.
ULP, stand by just a moment. I'm still searching for Joe. I think he hit his VFO. Roger?
We'll stand by. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. And if you hear him, relay to me, please.
I do not.
Thank you. Joe, paging Joe. This is KC9VKV.
Joe's gone.
It sounds like it. He probably hit his VFO.
Yeah, I don't know. He pressed one button too many.
Well, he'll figure it out and join us later. That other station that was trying to get in there, come back, please.
Yeah, Kilo 4, Uniform, Lima, Papa.
Kilo 4 Lima, what was the rest?
Kilo 4, Uniform, Lima, Papa.
Roger, ULP, what's the name there?
My name is Lanny, like Lima, Alpha, November, Yankee. Lanny, like Danny with an L, over.
Oh, Roger, Lanny. And what radio are you running, sir?
Okay, we're on some vintage gear here. This is an ICOM 730. You are about 20 degrees due north, off the end of my dipole. I'm surprised you're even copying me, but you're a good 20 over down here in Columbia, South Carolina.
Roger, South Carolina. Well, you're look to be about 10 over down here. I'm running right now. I'm running a dipole, a slanted dipole, and I'm looking at your output on my VU meter, calibrated to 0 level, and so your 10 dB peaks above my residual noise level. Roger.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'm looking at my ALC setting here, and it's peaking up towards the end of the ALC mark. Do you think I might be overdriving a little?
Well, let's do the procedure. Tune-up procedure is the first thing. Engage your compressor at a 3. Turn on your compressor and adjust it for a level 3. Roger?
Okay, I can do that. I do have a speech processor. I do not, excuse me, I do not have a compressor setting.
You just have an on and off?
I don't even have that. This is a vintage ICOM 730 from about 1979.
All right. Does it have an ALC meter?
Oh, yes, it does. In fact, I have the ALC button engaged right now.
Roger, roger. Well, adjust your mic gain to where your ALC meter is reading mid-scale to 2/3. Now, the actual spot that we're looking for is that spot between mid-scale and 2/3. Roger, roger.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to cut it back just a little bit. There is a mid-scale marked with 3, and then below that is 1, 1.5, 2, 3, and then above that is like what you would see on an S9 meter above S9. QSL?
Roger. And you're now mid-scale to 2/3 on that meter?
Yes. Well, let me back it off a tiny bit. And how does that?
Okay, Lanny, you have a scratchy pot on your mic gain control. You have a scratchy pot on your mic gain control. So what I would suggest is that you make a note of where you were, and you manipulate your mic gain control very fast, up and down, up and down, up, and you're really shaking that knob, and see if you can work through the the scratchiness of the control. Roger.
Yes, I did. In fact, I have done that, and now I can move it. You probably don't hear quite as much. How does that sound now?
That sounds good. Now concentrate on getting your voice scale, mid-scale to 2/3 on your VU meter now.
Mid-scale to 2/3? You mean the 3 is actually in the middle of the scale, and the set is way over to the right, but the needle is, I guess it would be in like the lower 1/3 of the entire full scale meter. Over.
Well, you want to look at your ALC meter, the range that your ALC meter has, and mid-scale would be in the middle of that range. 2/3 would be moving towards to the right-hand side. So you want to be, from the middle of that meter marking to the halfway to the other to full. Roger.
Okay, now I understand. You want me to move it so it's like at 2/3, right about there?
Tell me about your antenna system, and for about 10 seconds, and let me look at you.
Okay, the antenna is a dipole. It is centered at about 45, 50 feet. The ends are up at 60 feet between 2 pine trees. And I'm not sure of your QTH, but my antenna is pointed northwest and southeast. That is the ends of it, okay?
Roger, Lanny. Well, I'm located just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger.
Yeah, well, you're almost on the ends of my dipole, but I have reduced my mic gain now quite a bit. Looking at the ALC scale, it is peaking anywhere between 50 to anywhere between halfway and maybe a little over halfway between the lower end and the mid-scale ALC. Over.
Roger. Okay, now the next thing is, this is a game we play sometimes, and it has to do with trying to use your voice to achieve a certain amount of fullness in your modulation between your voice and the tempo of your speech. And that is, we take the watt meter and turn it to where we can see it as we speak. And the idea is to, with our voice only as we're keyed down, try to keep that meter, the LC meter, the watt meter, try to keep the watt meter at that sweet spot that it normally is, when you transmit maximum on the radio. So you're looking at that watt meter or the power output meter, whatever you have there, and try to keep it up to the sweet spot by just the tonality of your voice, that is the volume of your voice, and the repetitive rate of your speech. Between those two, try to keep that meter in the sweet spot. Roger?
What a joke.
Okay, we shall try to do that. And let me pick my notes back up here. Oh, they dropped off the table. I had your call sign written on a piece of paper, and it disappeared. Oh, here it is up on the QRZ website, KC9VKV. Well, okay, I'm going to try to keep that needle up there in about 1/3 as it swings over, 1/3 to 1/2. And on my ALC, it's kind of maintaining about the same point. And if that is about optimum, I'll let you go ahead and talk to someone else. It's been very interesting. My name is Lanny, and you're Jim, and I understand where you are. I used to travel years ago, and I had a sales contact in Louisville, Kentucky. So I'm very, very familiar with your area. KC9VKV, K4ULP.
Roger, Lanny, and the more you do that, the better you'll be able to do that. I've had 50 years of doing that, so I'm I'm still working on it. So just do the best you can, and day by day, and the more contacts you have, and concentrating on keeping your your modulation up there to the sweet spot on your VU meter, the more proficient you'll get at being able to do that. Roger.
Yes, and I appreciate it very much. I think in the past, before I talked to you, I may have had this mic gain up a little bit too much. I've reduced it substantially, and right now, with the ALC that's pushed, it's peaking up around the 2 that's on that ALC meter, goes up to the 3, and the needle is swinging between 1.5 and 2. So anyway, thank you very much, the MK4ULP in Columbia, South Carolina.
Roger, Lenny, just make a note of where your mic level is, and I would, for the most part, keep my ALC meter up. You don't have to, but don't be a stranger to it. That ALC meter is the Bible for that radio, and the ALC meter will tell you exactly what that transmitter is doing, and it will tell you better than your best buddy as far as what it's doing. Roger.
Roger, I understand, and I'm glad we met. You're having fun, and I'm having fun listening to you, and the people that are talking to you are having fun. So you have a great day. KC9VKV, K4ULP in South Carolina. Have a nice day.
Roger, Lanny, 3's that way, sir. Thanks for checking in. And if you want to hear our exploits as they unfold, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for an entity called My Group Aircheck 32720. Look for the title My Group Aircheck 32720, and it should be on page 1. Roger?
Oh, yes, I can't wait to do that. 327201. Or 32720, I wrote a slash. Page 1. Thank you, Jim. K4ULP clear.
Roger, sir. 3's that way, and you have a great Friday afternoon, great weekend. And if you get a chance, check back in next Friday at 3:30 till 5. We'll be doing it again if all things are equal and the creeks don't rise. This is KC9VKV. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
K4 Lima, Japan Echo.
K4 Lima, Japan Echo.
Yes, sir. KC9VKV. K4LJE. Here we are from the Garden of Eden down here. Name is Jim.
Obviously. Now, are you in your mobile?
Not quite. I'm on my home station here now.
Roger. Well, tell me about your antenna system.
Okay, well, the antenna system here is a in-fed wire in the shape of an L, sort of. It kind of slopes up from the ground. Feed point is about 6 feet high on a post with a transformer. The old standard design from my antennas, but this is kind of my own little brew here. Slopes up at about a 45-degree angle, turns into the L shape and horizontal for about 65 feet. A bunch of radials ties the ground into my radial system for my vertical. So
And we're doing about 1,300 watts out here with the SB220 and the SB104A heat kit. Roger?
Roger. Well, a good, easy 10 over my noise level. Good 10 over my noise level sounds really good. I still suggest that you get a windscreen for that microphone.
Well, it has a windscreen on it.
My goodness, what mic is that?
Okay, it is a Rode, R-O-D-E, Rode, Australian-made condenser microphone, NT1.
Roger, I think I have that mic. It's a black, is it a large diaphragm condenser?
Yes, it is. I may be hitting it too hard. I backed off on the gain a little bit right there. Hello, 1, 2, 3, over.
Yeah, and it's got a foam windscreen?
Yeah, and it's also got a metal pop filter in front of it.
Well, all right. Well, it did have a little bit of stuff in it, but it is clean now, so maybe it was just, too close proximity, Roger.
Okay, well, I did back off a little bit, both in distance and also on the gain here. I have a tendency to do that. I need to smack myself on the wrist, I guess.
Yeah, don't do that. I know how that goes, but it sounded good. And now I'm going to tell you that your bass sometimes, your mobile gives your bass a run for the money.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I listened to the mobile. I came in there last week, and I listened to myself there, and I was right proud of it.
Yes, sir. That thing was. Really doing a great job there, and you could tell the difference between the compressor on and off, and you understood what I was saying about it.
Oh my God, yes. Oh Lord, it was. Oh man, it was just terrible, huge big difference there, Roger.
Yeah, well, I mean, it did what it's supposed to do, but unless you were on the other side of the hill, you probably wouldn't need it, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. I usually don't use it, and ordinarily I don't have any problem with it there. But anyhow, I'm not going to be afraid. See, you have helped me conquer my fear. I shall not be afraid now.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of whatever. Yeah, you're sounding great as always, Jim.
Yeah, well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I don't think I've got a report on this microphone. But on this old rig here, I was unsure, and I got enough garbage as this thing goes through first. There's no telling what I was going to end up with, but thank you very much for the report, and I'll get out of here and let somebody else worry you there. K4LJE 73.
Roger, yeah. And are you having to run a fan and power supply for that mic?
Yeah, I do. It's on the. I got it in a mixer. It's running through a mixer, and it's built in.
I see. Well, doing a great job there. Your EQ curve looks just beautiful, Not a bunch on the bottom end, but, like I always say, if you're, balanced tremendously on the bottom to the top, and then Mother Nature does phase cancellation on your top end, then you're left with all the bottom end and no articulation. So to safeguard that, it's better, I think, to kind of slant out on the bottom side as opposed to being, zero level at 100 cycles.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I've tried listening to myself and getting some more bottom end. Before I go completely here, let's see. Let's try that right there. That's on the 250. That's on the 250 side right there. K4LJE 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. That's a couple of notches right there.
That sounds pretty good. I mean, it does. It's got a little more bottom end. It's not a major, but it does sound pretty nice, Roger.
Okay, well, let's give it a little bit more. Right there, it's about midways. Hello. Listen to my radio.
Roger, I'm looking at my my meter here and my spectrum analyzer, and your looks to be rolling at about 200 cycles now, where you stand, Roger.
Okay. Yeah, I tried the 125. It's a 7-band graphic EQ on this thing. I tried the 125 and I couldn't even tell any difference at all. But I could on the 250. Okay, so right there she is, and right there she's going to stay. Thank you very much, Jim.
Yes, sir. Sounds beautiful. Threes to you, Jim. Thanks for checking in, man. As always, a beautiful signal from North Carolina.
Yeah, thank you much. 73, and see you later. And God bless each and every one listening on frequency, and let's all look to the man upstairs and hang on.
Right, keep your head down and hang on.
Roger, roger.
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday afternoon Kiss of VLOG.net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Victoria Alpha 3 Echo Echo.
Now, Alpha 3 Echo Echo, what's the name?
Victoria Alpha 3 Echo Echo. On Delta Oscar November. Well, we talked a few times before. If I jumped in, they top of the day, and hopefully well, over.
Oh, Roger. I was just trying to get a better copy. I'm only got 2 SDRs up at the moment. The other 2 are just too busy for me to be able to use, so they say. But I've got you on Arlington, Virginia, and Rochester, New York, and you're and my local antenna, and you're about 6 dB over all 3 of those, Roger.
All 3, Roger. Wings are on clear this afternoon, so I will hold you up before we stay top of the game, and staying healthy, and all kinds of stuff, over.
All right, so from what I can hear, Don, and I'm on my local receiver, that you might be heavy in the bottom end. I'm not real sure, though. So try a couple of things just to verify where we are. Your your compressor should be engaged at about a 3. Compressor should be engaged at about a 3. Then your mic level control should be adjusting your ALC meter for mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC meter, Roger.
QSL. Yeah, we could be hitting a little bit higher. Is that any better there? I turned things down just a touch. I'm on low forward KC9VKV, Sierra Delta, and the Ohio HC5 with the gold line.
All right, let's work a little EQ. Do you know who your EQ is? Don, I'm sorry, do you know who your EQ is?
There's no EQ on the SD, over.
You have no EQ?
No, negative, no EQ on the Sierra Delta.
All right, then we're going to have to play inverse proximity effect. So I want you to pull off 3 inches further back than where you are presently working your microphone. Pull off 3 inches further back than where you presently are working your mic.
Okay, there we go. How's that? That's off the mic, and hopefully we're a little bit better for you, over.
Oh, yes, a lot cleaner. Now, you need to go to your ALC and adjust your mic gain to where your ALC is reading mid-scale to 2/3.
Okay, QSL. Yep, I'm just about past ALC, and I've backed off the microphone, over.
Right, now you want to be halfway to 2/3 on that meter, Roger.
I'm sorry, somebody has keyed up. What was that? I'm sorry?
I missed that last repeat.
Somebody has talked when you were talking. I'm sorry, what was that?
You've dropped down into my noise level. Anyway, you want to adjust your mic level to where your ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3 and continue operating your microphone at the last position where we were working there.
Okay, yep, I'm just about there now, about half to 2/3, so backed off the mic, I've lowered my voice, and we should be better, over.
Yes, and remember your distance to microphone, because if you go back to working like you were, you're going to be overdriving your ALC. So, but your EQ is a lot better where you are off mic there, about whatever that 3 inches more than where you were, because we have more top end to bottom end ratio in the equalization. Roger.
QSL. Yeah, I've always been bad for getting up on the microphone and talking, but yep, I'm watching ALC. I'm well within. I'm about half, a little bit over half, and we should be good to go, over.
Roger. Now, whereabouts are you up in Canada?
I am in the Windsor,
Ontario. Windsor, Ontario. I'm right across the water from Detroit, Minnesota.
Roger, Roger, Ontario. Sounded really good, sir. Things that way, and thanks for checking in. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday between 3:30 and 5, Roger.
Will do. Hey, stay safe.
Roger, Roger, Don. And remember that we'll be uploading this to YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO Vlog page, and you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 32720. My Group Aircheck 32720. Roger. Roger, Roger. Don 3's that way, so thanks for checking in. Have a great afternoon, a beautiful weekend. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor and the Friday Afternoon QSO Vlog Network. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. 3 stations. Loudest one, try it again. There was a N something 2. NP2, and what's the rest?
November Charlie.
Roger, November Charlie. This is KC9VKV. What's the name there?
Name is Bob in Campbell, Pennsylvania.
Roger, Bob. Well, geez. You know, I have an SDR in Milford, Pennsylvania, and unfortunately, I'm in a mode on my tablet that I've never seen before, and I don't know how I got there or why I'm there. I mean, I'm being held captive for some reason, and I don't know. Have to try that later, I guess. But I am copying you about 3 or 4 dB above my noise level on my local antenna. So what radio are you running, Bob?
I'm running the Kenwood PS570.
Gosh, you are. It's 5 dB above my noise level. Let's do something. If you would indulge me for a minute, if you would go to your compressor and engage your compressor at about a 3, we'll get you tuned up here and see if I can copy you a little bit better. So engage your compressor at about a 3, Roger.
Okay, if I knew what that was, I would do it.
I see. What, you don't have a compressor?
I have that radio, and I have an amplifier connected there too. I've got a vertical antenna. That's what I have.
Okay. The compressor is in your radio. Let me give you some notes. You've got a pad and pencil? Pencil and paper? Okay, the first thing, you know, and you'll have to go through your book and find all these things, and I would suggest as you go through the book, you make a little cheat sheet for yourself that you know how to get to these things, you know, and you won't have to consult the book again to be able to get to them. But the first thing you want to get to is your onboard processor / compressor. It's called maybe one of, or either or both, processor or compressor. Go to that and turn that on and adjust the input level for a 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100, or 10 o'clock in the clock position. Just a third of its capabilities is the main thing, Roger.
Okay, the input should be a 3 out of 10 on the compressor processor. Is that correct?
Exactly, exactly. And then once you get your compressor on, go to your ALC meter, and with your mic gain in hand, adjust the ALC meter to where it's reading mid-scale to 2/3. As you transmit and speak, just in a normal tone of voice. Don't be like you're checking a level 1, 2, 3. You know, you just talk like you normally talk, and adjust the meter to where it's running a mid-scale to 2/3. And that's it. And like I say, as you speak naturally at the normal position on your addressing the microphone, Roger.
Okay, right now my ALC meter
meter is showing approximately one-half of the entire scale.
Roger. Well, you want to adjust your mic gain to where it's reading a little bit higher than that. You want it to read mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3. Roger, as you speak. And the thing is, you can get a more consistent reading from that meter if you speak very your volume level is consistent. In other words, if you say a couple of words like that, you can't hardly adjust that meter. So what you want to do is speak in a fairly medium speed and a consistent modulation level, and that way it's easier to set that meter. Once you get the meter generally in the mid-scale to 2/3 position, I suggest that you start looking at your output power meter, your watt meter, or whatever it might be that you have, and you know where the sweet spot is on that meter. Well, put that meter in the PEP mode, not the RMS mode, but the PEP mode, which makes the meter move just a little bit faster. And what you want to do is try to keep that meter in the sweet spot position as you speak, and that can be achieved by the tempo of your speech and also the consistency of the volume of your speech. Roger?
Okay, I think I understand that. Yes, I'll work on doing that.
Roger, and that what I just seen right there looked pretty good. But you'll have to experiment with that, and if you consistently do that over a period of time, you will become very easy to keep that meter up in the sweet spot position. Roger.
Thank you. May I have your call sign again, please?
Yes, sir. The call here is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, KC9VKV. The name is Jim Juliet India Mike, and we're located just on the other side of Louisville, Kentucky, just across the river from Louisville, Kentucky and Indiana. Roger?
Thank you very much, Jim, and thank you for taking the time to give me that critique regarding my setup, which is relatively new.
Roger. Now, and also, as you're going through the book, double verify that you do not have an equalizer. Double check for that for sure. And then if you get a chance, join us next Friday afternoon between 3:30 and 5. We'd love to shout at you then. Roger?
Okay. I'll endeavor to do that. All those things, including Friday. Thank you. NP2NC.
Roger, Bob 3's that way, sir. Have a good afternoon, great weekend. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, the QSO Vlog Net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Whiskey 3, Whiskey Romeo.
Mike Bravo Zulu.
There was a whiskey 2 something, repeat.
Whiskey 3, Whiskey Romeo.
Whiskey 3, Whiskey Romeo. Roger, what's the name there?
Yeah, this is Bill in Maryland. I'm running an ICOM 7300.
My favorite radio, Bill. Tell me about your antenna system real quick for about 10 seconds.
Okay, I've got an Maple Leaf Studios NFET antenna, just like W3GTR down the street. And we've been operating this antenna for about 8 years. That's about it. Whiskey 3, Whiskey Romeo.
Roger. Well, your dynamic range looks really good. So I would suggest, do you know how to get to your EQ?
Okay, say again?
Do you know how to get to your equalizer on that 7300?
What, the bass in the treble?
Exactly, sir.
I did it before, and I set it to the parameters that you mentioned earlier about a month or two ago.
All right, well, you're sounding much better now. You must have been off axis a little bit to that microphone. Are you using the hand mic?
Yes, sir.
Roger, Roger. Well, just be consistent about that. Pull it to the side of your mouth and work across it, Roger.
Correct. How's it now?
Sounds excellent now. You might have been just a little bit forward of where you were or something, but you didn't have quite the top end that you have now. You're beautiful now, Roger.
Okay, fine. You're sounding great as well, as usual. Very good working with you, sir.
Roger, Three-Set Way, thanks for checking in, and if you're interested in hearing your audio, and you'll hear that discrepancy that I was talking about as you listen back to your Aircheck there. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO vlog page. Right now we're running about 1,040 recorded QSO vlogs, but you'll be looking for one in specific, which is entitled My Group Aircheck 3/27/20, today's date. My Group Aircheck 3/27/20. Roger?
Okay, very good. KC9VKV, this is Whiskey 3, Whiskey Romeo. We have you on our favorites anyways. We'll talk to you later. Probably call next week.
Excellent, excellent. Catch you later there, Bill. Threes to you, sir. This is KC9VKV, listening.
Mike Bravo Zulu.
Indian Golf.
Mike something Zulu?
Yeah, number 4, Mike Bravo Zulu. This is Roger. North Carolina.
Roger, Mother Nature pulled the plug on you in just a second. I thought it was like about a 20 over. I mean, you were just banging in here, and then just went right on into my noise level. Come back and try it one more time.
Yeah, this is Roger, November 4, Mike Bravo Zulu, South Charlotte, North Carolina. And thanks for the contact and the opportunity to check this out. I've got a Kendra 590 just recently, and I'm glad I'm able to talk to you and see how it sounds.
Alrighty, what's the name there?
Roger.
Is that Roger?
It is Roger.
Okay, Roger, what we need to do is set that up. Your audio is fairly unprocessed. You have about a 10 dB dynamic range on your audio, so that human speech without processing is about 10 dB wide. So what we want to do is fatten that up some. So it starts with your compressor processor engaged at about a 3. Turn your compressor on at about a 3. Roger?
Okay, well, how does that sound?
You're too light to tango right yet. The next thing, after you get your compressor in that at a 3, move on to your ALC meter with your mic gain in hand and adjust your ALC meter for a reading of mid-scale to 2/3. Adjust your mic gain to where it reads mid-scale to 2/3 as you speak naturally into a keyed microphone. Roger?
Okay,
Just speak like you normally would into the microphone at wherever you normally speak to your microphone at, and then adjust your mic gain to where your ALC meter is reading mid-scale to 2/3. Hello, Roger.
how does that sound?
Well, gosh, I don't know whether Mother Nature has struck again or not, but you tell me. Your ALC meter will tell you all about what's happening with your radio. So you want to, as I said, key your mic, talk into it like you normally would at the distance that you normally would at the volume kind of thing. Don't whistle or don't or anything. Just speak naturally into your microphone and adjust your mic level until your ALC meter is reading mid-scale to 2/3.
Okay, mid-level, how's that sound?
You're way far down. Come up on that mic and let me hear you. Just talk right into the microphone just for a minute.
Okay, how does that sound right there?
Much better, much better. So you need to adjust that ALC mid-scale to 2/3. Don't be apprehensive about it. Just do it. Just speak into your microphone and adjust that. Just turn that mic gain on up to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3 consistently. Roger.
Okay, I'll do that. That sounds. Trying to put
And the other thing, Roger, is that you need to stay on your microphone. Do not, not turn your head off the microphone. Adjust the microphone consistently, as best you can. Just stay on mic and all the time as best you can, Roger. So, Roger, how are we doing, buddy? I guess Mother Nature has struck because I do not hear you. But anyway, you've got the gist of it. Write down the notes as best you can from what we discussed there and try to implement them as best you can at a later time. Roger? So, Roger, I'll say threes to you, buddy. Thanks for checking in. We'll catch you next week, 3:30 till 5, if you get a chance, and we'll see what's happening then. Threes, buddy. We'll catch you later. This is KC9VKV listening.
Whiskey 4, Foxtrot.
Whiskey 4, Foxtrot. Go ahead.
KC9VKV. This is WW4F. Then here's Daryl, Delta Alpha Romeo Echo Lima. QTH is Glen Allen, Virginia. That's just outside Richmond. Over to you, Jim. KC9VKV from WW4F.
Roger. What's the name there, sir?
Name is Daryl.
Roger, Daryl. And what kind of antenna are you running, sir?
I have an inverted B. And the rig is a Flex 6400, and the microphone is it's just a Radio Shack electric element. The electric element inside of a modified a broken Electro Voice 664 base. So I have the mechanical parts from a nice heavy microphone, the Electro Voice 664, but the element is electric. Back to you, Jim. KC9VKV from WW4F.
Roger. We have a very similar situation here. I have also a home brew with an Electret. I'm using an ART preamp to give me my phantom power supply and my preamp audio. Roger. I selected the amplifier and the bias and the 20 dB of gain in the setup menu for the Flex. So, by listening to a recording, recording myself operating to a dummy load, the voice sounded pretty normal. So that's the operating conditions here. Roger. Sounds good. It could do a little fattening if you'd be interested. Yeah, Daryl, it could use a little fattening. Right now, it looks like about maybe a 6 dB dynamic range. We'd want to pull that to about a 3 dB. Be nice, fat, but very transparent. Not sounding anything at all like up against the wall, but just loud. Roger.
I could back off the microphone a little bit, and that's what I'm trying to go for. Is be about 10-12 inches off of the microphone. So. I just backed off a little bit. So how about that, Jim? KC9VKV from WW4F.
Roger. Well, our tune-up procedure starts with engaging your compressor at a 3. Engage your processor at about a 3. This is not a very much of a compression, but it does exactly what you want it to do. You know, a lot of folks misuse their compressor to where it tries to suck up the cows mooing in the South 40 between words. We want it when it expands to not even be noticeable. So that's why we suggest a 3 input level to your compressor. Roger?
Roger, Jim. So I've engaged the processor here on the Flex 6400. It's operating about 10-12 inches off of the microphone. So, and I've got my mic level is about let's say 60%, 60-70% on peak, and compression is hitting about peaking out about 30%. So, how about that? WW4F audio test. Back to you, Jim.
Roger, Roger. Now, after you get your compressor in line at about a 3, then move to your ALC meter. And what you want to do is adjust your mic level until your ALC meter is reading mid-scale to 2/3. Adjust your, as you speak, and adjust your microphone normally at the normal position, at the normal volume. Not like you're going to set a level or anything, you know, but you're just speaking naturally. Then with the mic gain, you adjust your ALC meter to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3 in transmit.
Okay, Jim. I can. I'm a good. I can back off on the mic gain a little bit. I was at 70. I'll back that down to about 60, and now I'm hitting about 50% there on the ALC. So, was that any improvement?
Yes, sir. We're coming along. The ideal sweet spot is that space between mid-scale and 2/3. That space between mid-scale and 2/3 is the sweet spot. So you want to be just a little bit more than midway, but you know, right, not more than 3/4. And when you get seated in there, that would take your dynamic range to about 3 dB. And with a 3 dB dynamic range, your average percent of peak modulation should be around 80 to 85%.
Okay, Jim. Roger. So I can bring that back a little bit and try to bring that up in between mid-scale and 3/4. Just about right there. Just about right. I hope. Yeah, that should be about it.
Roger. And the other thing is that we recommend doing a thing to look at your average percent of peak modulation that you can control through your voice. And that is if you take your watt meter and turn it around to where you can see it as you speak, and put the watt meter in the PEP mode so it's moving fairly quickly, and through your voice and the rate of your speech, you want to keep the watt meter in the sweet spot position. Now, you know where that watt meter normally goes, so you want to keep that right at the, that higher point just by the rate that you speak and the consistency of the loudness of the words.
Okay. So I got, so I'm running connected to my Flex 6400. I have a Elecraft KTA 500, and I'm pretty consistently hitting 500 watts. Over to you, Jim. KC9VKV from WW4F.
Roger, Roger. Yes, the peaks are important, but the more important thing on this practice is the continuance of the meter in the air. You want to try to keep that meter ballistically centered on that sweet spot. So in order to, if you talk like this, there's no way that you can keep that meter up. But if you're talking at a reasonable rate, then we're trying to keep those words coming at the same intensity, then you can achieve that point of keeping that meter up in the air. So you have a very consistent and loud station. It takes years to really develop that habit, but you get better and better hour by hour that you do it.
Okay, Jim. Well, thank you for all your advice, and
this little exercise. I appreciate that. I know there are a number of people out there waiting to check in with you. So I'll say 73 and turn it back over to you. KC9VKV from Daryl, WW4F.
Roger, Daryl, pleasure, sir. 3Z Way, and we have been recording since 3:30. So if you would like to hear what your audio sounds like, and I think you had a handle on it that last transmission, you were speaking a little bit faster, and your words were more consistent volume-wise. So as I'm looking at your audio signal on the output of my receiver, I'm looking at a VU meter that's tied to the output of my receiver, so I can see how well those words were hanging up on the VU meter instead of falling off between words. So if you want to hear that, go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to our QSO vlog page. On that page, we're running about 1,040 recorded QSO vlogs. You'll be looking for one in specific. It's called My Group Aircheck 3/27/20. My Group Aircheck 3/27/20. Today's date. Roger.
Roger, Jim. Thank you very much.
Roger, 3 is there, and you have a great afternoon, beautiful weekend, and if you get a chance, join us next Friday at between 3:30 and 5. Love to have you. And gosh, we are 5 o'clock, and I turn into a pumpkin. I'm starting to turn now, but I have room for one more air check. Who will it be? KC9VKV listening.
Kilo Echo 8, Michael India Golf.
There was an India Gulf station?
Kilo Echo 8, Michael India Golf.
Michael India Golf, is that a Roger?
Yeah, that's Roger. Had me earlier and the band changed on us.
Oh, yes. Where were we?
Well, we were just getting to the ALC adjustment. It's just over the red at this time.
Okay, so you don't want to be in the red. You want to pull your mic gain back before you get into the red. You just want to be mid-scale to 2/3, Roger?
Okay, let me back it down a little bit more here. There's the mic gain down. It's still touching the red at 20%. So now it's about 3/4. Go ahead.
Okay, now I think I'm hearing your compressor working pretty good. What I want you to do is come back and key your microphone for 3 seconds and don't say anything, and then unkey. Yes, sir. You got a copy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm hearing your compressor pretty much, so be sure and check your input level to your compressor. We only want to be a 3 out of 10 or a 30 out of 100, Roger?
Okay, it is set to 3. Go ahead.
Okay, back off mic, not back off mic, but when I release the thing, key for 3 seconds and back off. Okay, that sounds better. Got a copy?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, now tell me about your the radio. The best thing you like about your radio?
Well, it's a 7610. Just got it about 2 weeks ago, so there's a lot to learn at this point.
Oh, gosh, we haven't even started. Find the button on your radio to the left side of your radio. It's called Quick. There's a push button called Quick, right?
I don't see a button that says Quick.
You're running a 7610?
Roger.
Yes, to the left of your radio, on the front there will be a button called Quick. And then what it is, it takes you to Drive. But you should be able to find Quick.
I did find it. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So Quick, and now you have brought your drive up?
The drive gain is at 90%.
Gosh, are you sure?
It says drive gain 90%, compression level 3.
Okay, drive should not be at 90%. Pull drive down to 60%. Normally, it's at 50%, but for your case, and when I tune up, I put it at 60. So take your drive to 60%. Roger?
Roger that. The drive is now at 60%.
All right, now go back and double check your compressor that it's reading a 3 out of 10.
Yes, it is at 3.
All right, now adjust your mic gain until your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3.
Okay, well, it's running right about 2/3 right there.
Excellent. Now tell me about your antenna system.
Okay, I got an end-fed wire. It's about 30 foot long, about 20 foot high. Go ahead.
Okay, now you have a very consistent modulation level. You're right in there. Your dynamic range is 3 dB. Your average percent of peak modulation is between 80 and 85%, right where you want to be. So everything is copacetic. Your EQ curve sounds beautiful.
Okay, well, I appreciate all the help. I'm sure we'll be in touch again sometime. I know you're running late. I appreciate you taking the time. The band just absolutely died on us there earlier.
Yeah, it did. Strangely enough, it really did. Well, but we stood tall and came back and fought the war and won. So let me say threes to you. And again, if you want to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO Vlog page. And on that page, you'll be looking for specific air check entitled My Group Air Check 32720. My Group Air Check 32720, and it should be on page 1. Roger?
Roger that, Jim. I appreciate it very much. I'm going to say 7-3 to you. Once again, I'm sure. KC9VKV, Kilo Echo 8, Michael India Golf, and I'll be on the side.
Roger, and what was the handle again there, the name?
Joe, Juliet Oscar Echo.
Roger, Joe. Roger that. Threes to you, sir. You have a great afternoon and a beautiful weekend. And if everything is equal, the creeks don't rise and the coronavirus doesn't get in between us, if you get a chance, join us next Friday afternoon at 3:30, between 3:30 and 5. So threes now, and we'll catch you later. And this is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. I do have a nice close. One of these times, I'm going to actually get ahead of the game and find the close and read it. It's a beautiful piece, but I never can find it, so we won't need it. We'll just say we're now returning this frequency to normal amateur radio use. This is a Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor clear.